Hi, and welcome back to the TalentSpark podcast. Today we're continuing our investment theme, and we're speaking to Daisy Ford Downs, who is the Head of Investment Programmes at Firstport. Welcome along, Daisy.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Great to have you along today. So, Daisy, do you want to give us a little bit of insight into your investment background and the role that you do at Firstport?
Sure. So I guess my investment background is really just the story of how much I like working with entrepreneurs. My first job, I kind of accidentally joined a startup, and it just grew from there. We were sort of a mission-led startup that were focusing on working with other businesses to help them with understand their impact on biodiversity. We were planting trees and having a lot of fun, and I just completely fell in love with entrepreneurship as a way to make change. And so, yeah, I wanted to work with other companies, and that's how I got into investment. I understood that to really make change, I needed to understand how the money flowed and help the money flow in the right direction. So those people who are really out there on the front lines making change. So I joined Deloitte. I trained as an accountant, and from there I joined the Scottish Investment Bank, which co-invests in private deals in Scotland into high growth companies. That was really exciting, but I really wanted to dig into how we make positive change. So I moved into social investment, working with social enterprises to fund them in areas of disadvantage. And now I work at Firstport as you said, Head of Investment Programmes. And my main focus is on the Catalyst Fund, which we just launched in June. And that is a revenue-based fund for early stage social enterprises. So a lot of social investment is sort of traditional loan-based, so fixed repayments over a fixed term. This is a bit more flexible, a bit more equity-like, for those early stages where things are unpredictable, but there's a whole lot of ambition there to really grow, and that's the stage we want to be helping entrepreneurs. I'm also a chapter lead for a global organisation called Zebras Unite, which is helping people who are trying to build startups outside of the venture capital narrative, looking at different ways that we can build startups and drive innovation. And I'm also a scout for a venture fund in London that invests in underrepresented founders and overlooked markets.
Wow, busy! You got a busy schedule.
Yeah, it's a lot.
You've seen how have you seen investors react over the last year? Obviously, the pandemic's had an impact, but from a social enterprise business point of view, how has it impacted those businesses?
I think, as with across a lot of the business world, it's been a mixed bag. There have been some who've really suffered as things have changed, and we've faced this period of extreme uncertainty, impossible to plan. But we've also seen a huge amount of support within communities, particularly local communities, supporting social enterprises and community-led businesses. People want to engage locally, they want to engage with their neighbours and support what's happening around them. So some social enterprises we've seen have enormous success and really been able to support their communities and be really successful commercially as well, which has been great.
Yeah, it's been quite interesting actually. That community feel has really come through, hasn't it? As people have kind of banded together and really helped each other out, and presumably that's helped a lot of the social enterprises who are maybe got a little more of a local focus.
Absolutely, there are quite a lot of really local community-focused social enterprises, as well as ones that are more sort of thematic and focusing on communities of interest. Yeah. So I think it has been those particular community shops and cafes and things like that, where we have seen more people just going to their local high street or their local providers, even local producers, going straight to their customers during the pandemic, and people have really embraced that, which has been great.
So as things start to unravel, and hopefully they do, and we get back to something that resembles normality, have you seen, is the investment landscape looking fairly strong, fairly positive, particularly in the social enterprise sector?
Yeah, I think so. I think with the increased ability to plan, a little bit more hope and positivity that things will get to at least a new normal, if not the old normal. I think we are seeing, we're going to see quite a lot of activity as people put into action those plans that they might have been sitting on during that period of uncertainty. But now, there is the opportunity to really put things into action. And we're seeing a lot of people engaging post-pandemic with themes of sustainability, community, and really wanting to put their ethics into action in the way that they consume and the way they invest. So I think that will have a huge impact on sort of investment trends in social enterprise and in purpose-led business.
So just thinking about that, actually, is a good point. Just going on to we're sponsoring the Young Company Finance event this year, and part of their theme is competitive advantage. So thinking about that competitive advantage, what do you think differentiates businesses in these areas, and what is it that investors are looking for that from a differentiation point of view? How are they differentiating their investments?
So I think it's as with a lot of investment across the board, a lot of it's about the team and about the drive and about the passion. Particularly in social enterprise, we have a lot of people with very diverse experiences and backgrounds, and they bring that insight into their businesses. And so they understand new markets, they understand where that value lies in ways that maybe the traditional investment and business landscapes aren't seeing. I think it's a huge amount of opportunity there, a huge amount of competitive advantage when you have that insight that other people maybe don't have. We know that investment is incredibly homogenous on both sides of the table. It doesn't look diverse, it doesn't represent our population and our society. So the more we can bring different perspectives out and enable people who have different backgrounds and different insights into the value that they experience, then I think we'll see a lot of investment value come out of that. If we're directing capital to flow towards those great ideas that previously haven't received the attention that they should have.
Yeah. And you mentioned before just about seeing more sustainable ideas and businesses and products coming through in terms of renewable energy and so on. With COP26 around the corner, are you starting to see quite a bit of that now? Is that coming through in the pitches that you're starting to see?
Absolutely. I think that will be a huge focus. I just saw some statistics today on environmental concerns are second to in people's minds after COVID-19. So once the pandemic fears and implications begin to fade, sustainability will be top of people's minds. And it's not just the younger generation either. Older people are also wanting to engage with this. So we are seeing a lot more people understand that we've got a huge problem, but a huge opportunity to address climate crisis and the difficulties our ecosystems are facing. So I think there's a real opportunity here, and people are being really innovative with how they address this and how the problems are interconnected in terms of inequality and social problems with climate, and really engaging at a local level. People are asking, what can I do? What is the difference I can make in what seems like a huge global problem? And so we're seeing ideas right from the very, very small scale to right to the really huge global scale. I think that's really, really exciting, and some really innovative technology as well coming out as to how we can really bring large scale change.
I think that's it, isn't it? That if people take action at a local level, then as a grander scale and a larger scale, perhaps we can make that difference that we need to, and that supporting these businesses and diversifying your investment portfolio will hopefully help that. So just thinking about going forward then, from First Port's point of view, what's next? What's the next steps for First Port?
So we'll be continuing to build on what we've been doing. Everything we do is guided by listening to social entrepreneurs and to people who really want to make a difference. That's why we launched the Catalyst Fund, because we were hearing that there was this gap in social investment where early stage entrepreneurs weren't able to access the funding that they needed to develop technologies or to build their revenue streams and prove what they were doing. So we're going to keep doing that. We'll be listening, and we'll be implementing the solutions that we need to really see social enterprise and purpose-led business lead the way, solve the problems that we're facing, and really capitalize on those opportunities.
So you talked about the Catalyst Fund. That's a fairly new fund. Do you want to give us a bit more information on that?
Sure. This has really been my pet project for such a long time now. I'm really interested in how different funding instruments can help us to produce different outcomes, to invite different people, different types of founders to participate in entrepreneurship, because not everybody wants to see the same build the same type of business or see the same type of outcome. So a revenue-based fund is an innovation that I think we've really been waiting for. Revenue-based financing is really taking off in digital businesses, and it's providing a type of loan finance that actually works when your revenues are perhaps uneven, but you do have revenue, you do have a business, and you can capitalize on that to access financing. And so for social entrepreneurs who don't have equity, can't raise equity investment because that would compromise their social mission, loan funding is really all they have. So, and most of that, as I said, is traditional loan financing, such as you would get from a bank. Whereas a revenue-based loan is a lot more flexible. You're paying a percentage of your revenue to repay the loan. So if you have a good month, you pay more. If you have a bad month, you pay less. And in that sense, it's a lot more affordable, a lot more patient, and enables us to help entrepreneurs to get from those early stages up to the point where they can access further growth funding, or they can access a commercial mortgage, things like that. We're helping them to prove their revenue model so that they can go on and grow to become whatever it is that they achieve as success, what they define as success.
So Daisy, your remit expands beyond Scotland. You're in different regions. So what are you starting to see in different regions across the country in terms of investment?
So I think there's still a lot of activity focused in London, but we are starting to see more interest outside of that. And I think the pandemic has actually been a boon in that sense, in that everybody's been online, and it's been a real leveler. You can now pitch to investors anywhere across the world, if they're open to that. And I think it would be to their disadvantage if they weren't. So I'm particularly focused on scouting for deals in Scotland and in the regions, and making sure that our entrepreneurs have as much access to venture capital where that's appropriate for them as those who are based in London. And I think that's really important. It's another factor in making sure that the best value opportunities, the most value creation actually happens, that people aren't being ignored for completely irrelevant factors in our modern world, such as where they're based. I think we have a huge opportunity here in Scotland. We have a lot of innovation, and I'd really like to see more money coming up from London, and where the funds are focused, investing in our entrepreneurs.
And do you have some I suppose some hints or tips or anything you can advise for the guys who are up here, or for the companies that are up here, how to attract that investment?
I would advise entrepreneurs to think thematically as well as geographically. You don't just have to engage with the investors in your region. Look at who's really engaged with your area, your industry, and who's going to really provide value on your cap table, who's going to open networks for you and bring expertise that you like, that you need. And I think you have such an opportunity now to engage with investors beyond your doorstep, who are really going to bring that value.
Yeah. Perfect. So if there's a social enterprise out there that's looking to speak to you guys and think about investment, how do they get in touch with you? Where should they look?
I think the website is a great resource. You can find out all of the things that we're doing on there. So business support and funding, as well as investment. And so that's firstport.org.uk.
That's great. Well, listen, thank you very much for your time today, Daisy. And I'll hopefully perhaps see you at the conference, the Young Company Finance Conference.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for having me.